Hello everyone. I went to Lakewood Elementary School and had the privilege of sitting in on Mr. Phil Fugate's 5th grade math class. There's about 25 students in the class and I walked in when they were just coming in from their break. So to get all the students' attention, Mr. Fugate said, "Give me 5," and all the students raised their hand, and I was very surprised that actually worked because all the students had his attention. In this lesson, he was teaching fractions of whole numbers or fractions of a fraction, meaning fraction multiplication, which is coincidentally what we had just learned in class. So it was really cool to compare the two and see what we did and what he did. As like an introduction, he gave a real life example. It was like Matthew had half of a stick of gum and Grace wanted half of Matthew's half of a stick of gum. So he passed around a piece of paper and all the kids folded their paper in half, colored it, and then folded that half in half and striped one of the quarters. And then they unfolded it and found out that there was a quarter of stick of gum that Grace had. All of the students were very focused and it was a cool hands-on activity. During this activity, all of the students were very focused and on task. I could listen to them and they were allowed to talk amongst each other to try to figure out the answer. Mr. Fugate is very much of find your partner for the answer if you don't know what's going on. After this little introduction, he announced that they were going to be learning from the book now, and immediately all the students pulled out their books without being told to and flipped to the right page that Mr. Fugate was on. First, Mr. Fugate takes a vote and says, "Who's nervous to learn fractions of a fraction?" And all the students raised their hand. And he said, "Good, we're gonna learn them together." So they started learning on a fraction bar. And the students were not doing so well at first, and they were very confused and asking a lot of questions. But Mr. Fugate was very on it and kept making sure they knew what was going on and kept making sure they were paying attention. After doing about 3 problems with everybody, Mr. Fugate said, "Turn to your face partner and do this one problem together," for about 2 minutes. So the students are actually working on this. I can hear them trying to figure it out. A lot of them have questions, but their face partners are answering them. Mr. Fugate told me he paired students that did well and students that didn't do so well together so they can help each other out. After the 2 minutes was up, Mr. Fugate said, "Give me 5." All the students give him 5, and he goes over the problem together. Again, he's constantly asking, "Do you understand what's going on? Does anybody have any questions?" To which the students would raise their hand or not. So it was very good that he kept asking the students and keeping them involved and engaged. After about 10 to 15 minutes on the fraction bar, they moved to the area model, which is what we learned in class. Most of the students did not like the area model at first, but with time, they started to like it. I think overall, they liked the fraction bar more. One of the reasons why I really like this teacher and the way that he taught is that the students had wobble seats. The students that couldn't really pay attention could kind of wobble in their seat, and he did not care if the students were sitting up or how they were sitting in their seat as long as they were paying attention. I also like some phrases he said to kind of keep the students' attention. For instance, one of the things he said was, "Are you watching me? Make sure I don't mess this up." If a student wasn't really paying attention, I thought that was very clever. And for instance, if one student was saying all of the answers, he would say something like, "I love the fact that you're participating, but I'm going to have to move on to somebody else." Also, after almost every problem, he would give a vote to the students and say how many people kind of get it, and how many people really get it, how many people don't get it at all, and how many people can teach it better than I do, which I thought was a really cool way of kind of seeing where all the students are at in the room and what areas they need more help on. Overall, it seemed like the students learned the material very fast and understood it pretty well. They definitely respected Mr. Fugate, and I think that is very uncommon for a 5th grade class.